Welcome back to the Woman Experience. I am so glad you're here. I will never get tired of telling you how incredibly blessed I feel for all those of you that are subscribing, those of you who are return subscribers, who keep asking me when is the next episode. We are going to get to 10,000 and 50,000 and 100,000. This is a season for guests, for testimonies, for people to just come and share their wisdom. And I really want this to be a platform where a woman can come, pick something, even if it's just one woman, learn from someone's journey and see, we do share similar pains as women. We do share similar challenges. And I think our stories are testament that it is possible to get on the other side. So today I have an incredible guest, someone I consider a friend and someone I've known for a very long time. And she wanted to come on the channel and share her experience, her story with us. And without much further ado, drum roll, Sarah, karibu.
Thank you.
How are you feeling today?
Happy, excited.
Yes.
And looking forward to a wonderful time.
A wonderful time.
Yes.
So for this audience and for everybody that's watching, please introduce yourself.
Wow. So my name is Sarah Mwangi-Kuira. And I'm a born-again Christian. I'm a mother of 4, a married woman.
You don't look like a mother of 4.
Yes, a married woman at Kuira. And I'm in accounting professionally. Done it for as long as I can remember, several years. And yeah, I have this passion for seeing women succeed in their relationships. Actually, it has evolved to both men and women now. Succeeding relationally in their relationships and marriage. So basically that's me.
And we're going to talk a lot about that because I know this is something that you're already doing.
Yeah.
Counseling and speaking to a lot of people who have just seen positive results.
True.
And where that came from. But I want us to go a bit back on your journey. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born in Nyeri, but I grew up all over the country. My dad used to be transferred a lot, so we moved a lot. I lived in Central Province, in the Western Province, in Kisumu, in Bungoma, but I later lived most of my life in Nyahururu. So that's where my parents are. Yeah, but I grew up studying in Nyeri.
In Nyeri.
Many years of boarding school.
So you really are a child of Kenya, Western,
All over.
Kisumu, Central.
Yes.
And I'm just paint us a picture of how your life was. Do you have siblings? Who are they? How many are you in your family in total?
Yeah. So I'm the firstborn, and we are 4 of us. And I'm an older firstborn because my siblings are much younger than me, by a few more years behind me. So I think I grew up bringing them up. Yes, because they were born when I was already in school.
Yeah.
So yeah, so my life, I think I grew up as a nurturer. And I've grown up doing that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it transitioned into who I am, trying to nurture people and just raising up people. But yeah, basically that's who I am, 4 of us. And yeah.
And I listen to you, there's a whole conversation we can talk about firstborn daughters and this feeling like you have to mother people, that you have to baby them. But I'm wondering, do you have any fond memory from your childhood or things that you remember fondly that up to now you still think and think, oh, that was special?
Yeah, I loved, the early years of my life was mostly me and my mom because my dad worked away.
Yeah.
So I loved those times.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think my other beautiful times were when I grew much older and I started going to serve in church. So that is when I started getting my fulfillment because all along I had been in boarding and there's this restriction always in the boarding schools. So you only come home on weekends. on holidays. So when now I left school and now within the last years of high school, I was serving in church, joined a group of girls and we would sing and dance and serve in church. So now I started feeling fulfillment, lots of it. And of course, I had also been serving in church in the school, so that made it easier to transition back home. Yeah, so my best of my memories were when I now started serving in church. I started feeling a certain connection to, I don't know, to something within me. Yes. But we also we grew up well. I was the second mommy to my siblings, and it was fun. It was fun. Not really all that, but my parents were able to provide for us.
Yes.
My dad was very hardworking. He worked away all the time. Came every Friday, never missed.
Wow.
That was one of a very good memories that I hold, because it was now I see, in retrospect, it was such a sacrifice for him, because he worked very far and he would come home on weekends and he would bring nyama, meat.
Yes.
So at least we know weekend we had meat.
You have something special.
Yes. But he always provided. We had school fees. Never once were we sent home. Yes. My mom was also working, very humble. She was a secretary. And so we lived well. We had a good life.
Yeah. And so I want us now, we'll dive a bit into some of those aspects of your lifetimes and what shaped you. And we'll first jump a little bit into now you are in your 40s. That's something I'm very passionate about. It's how I started this channel, because something shifts. So I'm just wondering, in this season of your 40s, as a mom of 4 who is also married, working, what is this season of life teaching you?
Yeah, so to get to 40, of course, I've come a long way. And like I was thinking back, just some time back, I was thinking, I've worked like this my 21st year working professionally. So I realized that when you're in your 40s, you've seen so much. You may not have seen too much, but you're in a place, I'm in a place where I have seen a lot in the corporate world, in the home, in relationships. So what I am just thinking about when I'm in my 40s, like, I have become so resilient. Like, what else can I really go through that I have not seen? I'm sure there are, but I've come a long way. I have come to realize that there's this legacy mindset that sets in me. When now in this season of my life, I'm already thinking, what do I want to live? What am I contributing to this world? What am I contributing to life, to myself, to my children, because I've grown up nurturing my own siblings. Now I have my own 4 children. I'm a mother to a teen and a preteen. And little other children. So I've seen that there's a lot of, I'm thinking, what legacy am I leaving? What am I building to live and to walk in? Because a few years from now, we were joking the other day with my husband and saying, by the next election, not this one that is coming next year, the next 10-term president, we are going to be facing retirement.
Yes.
So what do we have? What are we living for ourselves and our children? How shall we be living by then? We need to build it now. So that's something that sets in when you're in your 40s, because I'm in my 40s, mid-40s. And I want to see myself as I have evolved from that 20-year-old, 30-year-old girl that didn't know much, that was just trying. In your 40s, it's not about gaining or proving anything. I have already lived, like, I don't have anything to try and prove to anybody. I know my no is no. I have my boundaries. I don't have to please anybody. I don't mind. If somebody thinks that I don't look good. I think myself that I look good, and it's enough for me. I don't get validation from anybody. So those are things that in my 40s, I'm so confident in who I am. I may not be there yet, but I cannot be moved by so many things anymore. You know, I know what I want in my career.
Yeah.
I know what I want in my passion.
Yeah.
Because most of us millennials, we have the career that we studied for,
Yes.
but we have discovered our passion along the way.
Yes.
So now I know my passion is to just support women, support people in their relationships, to have a firm foundation based on faith.
Yeah.
I'm very strong on faith. So I know myself, like I don't need to please anybody.
Yeah.
I don't get my happiness from anyone. It's within me. Yes, and I can really look for it within. I have my silent moments. I know that you don't rush to look for things. You don't need to prove any point to anybody. When you're in your 20s, most of the time you want to prove a lot to be accepted. You want to hit your targets so that you can rise up maybe in the corporate ladder. You know, you can do anything. You can do anything without thinking, is it really this? Just to see that you've grown up in the corporate world, maybe in financial ways. But in your 40s, you really don't, you stick one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, I have picked so much there.
Yes.
You've talked about legacy.
Yes.
That legacy mindset that's beginning to set in. It's not just, and you've explained it really well, it's not just doing things for the sake of doing, for applause.
No.
It's really, how do I lock in, have impact, and also just self-mastery. I think you've talked about like just boundaries, not saying, you know, sometimes we say no when we want to say yes, and all of that. So there's really a locking in.
Yeah.
And what I have also loved, and you've said it, is that if there were challenges and the mistakes of the 20s and 30s, use that as that push.
Exactly.
Actually, it should be a push rather than saying that, oh, I'm late in life. Now I'm in my 40s, because a lot of us, 40s is also a bit of reckoning that starts. How have I lived my life? But we'll get to there.
Yes.
And I think you've already touched on it, but if you were just to distill 2 to 3 lessons that you learned in 20s and your 30s that are really specific, it could be on finance, it could be in relationships, what are those things you would tell the 20 or 30-year-old you? Like, if I knew this, I would, for sure, I would do something very different.
Yeah, so in my thought process, I say that I should have, maybe as a 20-year-old, built better relationships, because sometimes we just flow with who is there. But when I'm now in my 40s, I'm very clear on who I want in my life, in my circle. I don't want a crowd anymore. But when I was younger, I think sometimes when you're younger, the crowd is what you think you belong, because you are flowing with so many people. And also, I would tell my 20-year-old self to go for your passion, for my passion, other than what I think is the trend in the market. Back then, it was maybe accounting or,
Yes, I
you know.
And
But
doctors
had we known that it's not a must that what is in the market is what you go for. That everybody doesn't have to do Bachelor of Commerce, you know. Everybody doesn't have to do teaching because it's what is there. There are those innate things that we have within us that we do not know yet. So in my now, if I think about it, even as a 30-year-old, we had a way to get somebody to nurture those things out.
Even as you work,
Exactly. And then by then would have brought out those things that are in us, the purpose that we have, what we are passionate about, and now would be working in it right now.
Yes.
But now most of us in our 40s is when we try now to discover, is when you're discovering, by the way, I really don't like these things. Not that I don't like it, but this is not who I am. This is not what wakes me up. You know, this is not what keeps me awake as well. This is not what I think about. This is not what moves me or annoys me.
Yes.
You know, like me, I feel so bad when I see couples are fighting or, you know, they're not agreeing, and I'm thinking, how can I help? But when we were younger, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know how to seek out your purpose from within. Another thing I would advise or just tell my younger self is to know how to anchor myself on something. Because everybody anchors themselves on something. You believe in a higher power.
Yes, yes.
Everyone, whatever that higher power means to each person is different. Because most of us probably are not brought up maybe in religious homes, different religions. But there has to be that anchor that somebody stands on when life, because as you grow, life becomes quite difficult. Life can throw so big things at you, and you do not know what to do. So when you have nothing that you are anchoring yourself on that is bigger than you as a young person, as a young woman, a young man, you fall.
Yeah.
And you can fall really hard because you have to hold on to something.
Yeah.
So for me, I am grateful that when I was younger, in my 20s, I had that in church, in Christ. But of course, sometimes you're not able, you leave a little, but find yourself back.
Yes, when you have an anchor,
It draws you back.
Draws you back.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's one other thing I would tell my younger self. My other thing I would tell my younger self is to stop and really make decisions that are important for me. For me, not for my mother or my father or my sisters or brother or what, or my friends or my husband. What is really important for me? When I'm able to see that path, it's very hard to deviate from it. It's very hard to be dissatisfied. It's very hard to lack the passion for it. But most of us, when we are younger, we go with the flow. We go with what is available. We don't take back a step back and look at the options clearly, you know. And one thing that I really, though my mother taught me this, and I loved it, is to go for people. Of course, we love. This is not usually in relationships.
Yeah.
But also, it's important to choose those who love you.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You look at the camera and just repeat that point.
Yes. As I was saying, it is important when you are younger, because those are the people that you grow with along your path of your life. It is important to choose the people that love you. You can always know who loves you. In a crowd of 10, in your friends of 10, you know one of them or two who really do care. Genuinely. They are not born with you. They're not your brother, your cousin, or your relative, but they love you for real. And they probably don't even know why they love you. Something just in them clicked for you. Not for anything, no strings attached. It's very important to choose the people that love you in your circle, to be in your circle, especially for relationships, especially when you're choosing a wife or a husband. Because when things become tough, the love that this person feels for you will keep them for you. It will keep them in your life. They won't give up because they feel something that they don't explain. It's not passion or, there's that eros love. It's not that erotic love. A certain love that I think is almost agape love, the love of God, that somebody just loves you for who you are. If you can choose that kind of a person as a spouse, as a colleague, as a friend, in the workplace, those people that really just click for you, then you have a smoother life. When the challenges come, you're not so broken. You don't need now to start looking for somewhere to anchor, which you probably don't even have.
Yes.
Exactly.
Validation.
Yes, and all that.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the
there's
lesson.
So many gems. If you're watching this episode, I think this is the point you start picking a paper and a pen, because what you have brought about, and I love that I learn a lot on this channel. There's something beautiful about people who love you, whether you have or you don't have, whether you are successful or not, and that those are the people who will weather the storm with you.
Absolutely.
And those are the people you know for sure, whether I'm rich or poor, whether I am this, it's people who are rooting for you regardless. And I think your mother just knew that when times are tough, you really do that. And I think maybe you could talk to a 20-year-old girl, because I think one of the foundations, you've really tackled these relationships, and I can tell her it's your passion. She's maybe starting to date, or maybe what are some of these qualities? Is it because they're really hard to? How do you know, or how would you imagine? Because I know you really think about these things and you coach people and women. How would I identify and say, Sarah, there's something different about her. She can be my friend.
The people who you want, first of all, it's for those who love, it's very easy for you to love them, even if you didn't love them initially.
Oh, yes.
Because already they have this pure vibe for you. They are not jealous. They are not angry. They don't have hidden anything. They don't see you in a nice dress as a young girl, and they're like, I had seen like that one sometime, but they're not comparing. They're happy for you the way you are, So even in simple things like shopping for young girls in their 20s, somebody who is happy just by the way you look, the way that girl looks. They're just happy for them. And they're not saying, even me, I had such a dress. They don't bring themselves in that conversation. It's purely they compliment you and let you enjoy the moment. That one spotlight that is 30 seconds or 1 minute. Such a person is somebody who's rooting for you. They don't have anything negative towards you. Somebody else that a lady or a young man can look, and especially men, because a man, in a way, when relationships begin, which is what I'm very passionate about, and I've seen over these years, over the lifespan of a man, when they settle down, they tend to depend a lot on their wives. Something shifts. You wonder, this guy, when he was single, I think he used to cook and clean and all, but all of a sudden, when he enters the house, he cannot do anything for himself anymore. He doesn't know where his socks are. He doesn't know what to pack in the bag when he's going out for whatever trip, But so for men especially, and I say this, I'll speak about the women as well. You need somebody you need to choose that girl who loves you, for real. Because they will be able to do these things for you without resentment, without feeling like now they are a slave in the home, without feeling like now this is too much, this guy can't do, even where the kitchen is and blah, 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 And for the women, when you're looking for these small qualities in a man, you just see, because a man is created to love. That's what the Bible says. It says that the man shall love his wife as Christ loved the church, that he died for her. Meaning a man should die every day to his wife, die to his ego. Because the ego is what comes in between people. Now we are not agreeing on anything because of difference of opinion. So a lady needs to look for a man who can put his ego aside for her, without realizing that this is actually what he's doing. It just comes naturally to him. He doesn't need to take so much effort, like, Sasa, I have to do this for you. No, it just comes from his heart.
So those are some of the signs. If you're little things you're asking or requesting, this person is
can
off.
Just do, when you see that they're just, you can read, and the problem with love, when we feel the error love, that love that is in the heart, the feelings love, you don't see somebody's face. When they switch a little, when you ask for something or request something, when somebody doesn't want to do, you'll see it. This face switches a little bit, and then it's gone. They can quickly cover it up. But when this person truly is for you, and they are the one, they really want you, they won't. They just, it's a no-brainer. They just rise and do what you want. They just support you. Of course, we are not talking about taking advantage of somebody. You have to know when somebody is abusing you and taking advantage of you in terms of money. And this happens for both sides. So another sign you can check is somebody who is happy and comfortable with your family members.
Oh, that's a huge one.
Yes. Because for example, when you enter, this is all about relationships. When you enter in a relationship with somebody, you're entering in a relationship with also their family. You will not alienate. When you alienate them, you're now a narcissist. You want this person all to yourself. But when this person loves you, not really love, just is comfortable around you, because they cannot love them all at once. Love grows over time for the family. But somebody who can tolerate them, because our people, they are all different. Some of them we cannot root for them.
I know.
We have to bear patience with our partners, to bear with our families, right?
Yes.
So somebody who can tolerate our people and is happy to be amongst them in functions.
So someone who alienates you from family is also a problem.
Is a danger, is a red flag. In fact, you should run and flee, because marriage is a long time. You get married at 20, you live to be 90, you're married to this person for 70 years. So how can you live with somebody for 70 years who has alienated you from your family, from your support system? Because the family is truly support system. Even if they are the extended, like they are the in-laws in this case, they are the support system, because when you need kidney or liver, they are the ones that now blood donations, those are the ones now we again look for. So imagine if you get involved with somebody who puts you away from them. So another way to look at is somebody who loves or is comfortable, likes at least your people. This is somebody you can be sure is not just pretending to be with you. Because they are now vulnerable to other people who are your people that you are. Because you meet somebody when you're in 20. So you've been with these people in 20 years, 25 years. This person is coming in now. So he cannot just, or she cannot just pull you out from these people that you've known for the last 20, 25 years,
Yes.
or even 30 years.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, another one is somebody that you have the same values. Because I cannot value integrity and that person doesn't value integrity. We will not, that person doesn't really like me. That person doesn't really love you as a 20-year-old, you know? Because in our 20s, when we start meeting people now that we are thinking, I like this guy, I like this girl, you know? If you people are not agreeing on the same values.
Basic fundamentals.
Few small things like lying. If they can easily pass a white lie and they don't think it's an issue. But you cannot imagine a lie coming through you. Then there's a problem.
Yes.
This is somebody who really doesn't like you so much. Yes. And they are going to be a problem down the line.
Yes.
Another value is religion. If me, I am big on Christian Jesus, he is big on Muslim Muhammad.
Yeah.
There's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Because then one of us has to give up.
Yes.
Something that they've grown up. And does this giving up mean resentment? Will this person have resentment down the line? And at the end of the day, they're like, I didn't sign up I didn't bargain, I don't like this anymore. So if somebody can give up something for you,
yes,
then you need to really question, is it because they really love me? Or will this thing turn out into something? Or do I need to choose somebody else?
Yes.
Yes. Because also the values, especially religion, are very, very huge.
They are huge.
They are very huge because they are our foundation. That's how we grew up. We found ourselves in this thing. So we adapted it. And a few other things like money issues, we don't agree. I like to live on Riverside. The other one likes to invest in Joska. So our finances are opposite.
They are opposite.
Yeah, our
true.
beliefs on money,
our belief systems on
different.
money.
Yeah. So that's a small thing in mentioning, but in the relationship, it's a very big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because there is a story I heard of a certain bishop giving a story of two people who came in their 20s, actually, late 20s. The guy wanted to grow cabbage, but the girl wanted to go abroad.
Yeah.
But the love kept them.
Yeah.
They got married. But when they grow married, the guy is like, let's go to Nyeri.
And grow cabbage.
I'm a farmer. It's true. And he was passionate about it. He had seen his parents grow the cabbage.
Yeah. And he knew this is the path.
And this is the path. He's just taking a pickup and a canter lorry in the cabbage from Nyeri to Nairobi. Yeah. But the girl wants to go to abroad to further her studies.
Yeah.
But they love each other, but they cannot now work. Because everybody, where the heart is, that's where the treasure is.
Oh, 100%.
Exactly. So the treasure of this one is in education and career. This one is business and farming.
It's farming.
So the money is different. Everybody, the money, they want to apply their money differently.
Yeah.
So when you're choosing and looking for, not this is specifically a relationship, not really even friends.
Yeah.
You have to know what are their values on money. What do they talk about money? You need to listen to those conversations that they are speaking keenly. People don't listen. People just, they love the face. I love how he makes me feel. I love how she makes me. Yes, but they are not hearing really, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Whatever somebody has inside the heart is what comes out of the mouth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so, my God.
Yeah.
So many gems there.
Few gems, but
yes. That's a lot.
Yeah, there's
because
more.
I wish 20-year-old me had an episode like this one. And what I'm learning from you is that in your 20s, it's not too early to start penning your vision.
Absolutely.
How do I want to spend my life? So that now you align. So when someone tells me I want to grow cabbages and be a farmer, be like, that's great for you. But me, I have other dreams.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we think that time will massage those dreams, you know, or it will change someone.
Yeah.
Things to do with values. Because in our 20s, I was not thinking about values. And now I'm coming to realize how important I as Sarah, I as Edith, what do I really stand for as a woman?
Exactly.
That is so non-negotiable. Is it my faith? You know, where do I anchor my faith in? My finances, how do I want to be? And yet now in marriage is where we come to now dump on each other.
Exactly.
Like, I told you, all right, you know, but we'll get there. And I think, you know, we've gone too far ahead. But now you've gone to high school. Where did you go to high school?
Oh yeah, I am an alumni of Bishop Katimu Ganduka.
Oh yes.
Yes.
So now tell me about
Yeah.
just before you go to university, the Gandu, because at that time to have been called to such a school,
Yeah.
you must have performed well. But also, what did boarding teach you? Because for most of us in that era, that was the first time you had left home, come to people and met people from all regions. What did high school teach you in any aspect, faith or being with other people? What was that like for you?
Yeah, so actually when I went to primary school, I was very young. I was 9 years. And that's when I left home. And we were living in Bungoma, and I went to Nyeri. And my mom had 3 little children. My siblings were born very small gap between them. So she could not even come to visit me in school.
So what was the gap between you and the one after you?
7 years.
Oh, and now I understand why.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the other one 8 and the other one 10.
Yeah.
So those were like twins.
Yeah.
Triplets, sorry.
Yeah.
And now me, I'm all the way, imagine, from Bungoma all the way to Nyeri. So my mother could not even make to come for visiting days. So my dad would come, and my grandmother, my dad's mother, my grandmother and my grandfather, they were in Muranga. So they would now come to visit me and with my dad. And my uncles and aunties, they were awesome. But of course, you know, you miss your mother. You know, there's something about mom. But anyway, I that was one of the things that I had to learn, how to live without my mother, how to be alone, independent. And by the way, when I left, joined the boarding school in primary, I was in Kisumu first, and in a primary school where I actually used to talk fluent Luo. Yes, like I knew. But when we moved from Kisumu to from Homa Bay to Bungoma, and now I went to Nyeri, that same year of Bungoma, I met this, I didn't even know I was Kikuyu.
Yeah.
I didn't. Before that, I was in a Kiambu primary school. We even used to learn in Kikuyu. Yeah. But when I went to Homa Bay, those years, we used to learn in our mother tongue. Yeah. So we would learn in Luo.
Wow.
And I knew. So when I went to Nyeri, I forgot everything. That is one of the things that happened to me, that I felt I lost.
Yeah.
I didn't know the loss, but over time when I was in 7, 8, I realized, but I lost this language and I really loved it. I felt different because I could speak 2 different languages when I was very small. So now I went to high school. Of course, I was very independent because now I've really learned to live by myself. In fact, I used to joke and say, you can take me anywhere, I'll live. Yeah. I don't need anyone. Yeah, because I already learned to live without even my mom. But my dad was awesome, and his brothers and sisters, they would come. I still look at the photos sometimes and laugh because it was more his family that visited me a lot. But my mom would come once in a while. So high school and primary, because we were both Catholic schools, the Catholic faith is very deep on their faith. So there's a lot of church. When you're in the Catholic school, you go for mass a lot in the morning, in the evening. There's a lot of that. Prayer all through the day. So something that happened to me in that season of boarding, because I was in boarding school for 9 years, both primary and high school. Wow. I learned how to be somebody in the church. That thing grew when I was there because we were forever in church. If I can remember, we were either in mass, we were either, I don't know. Yes. Then we would pray. We woke up and pray, the whole dorm. Yeah. We had to go to mass in the morning. We had to pray at parade. We had to pray at lunchtime. We had to pray in the evening. The evening there was mass as well. So it was God all through. So that thing worked for me. Of course, there are these horror stories of boarding school, but back in our ears, those things were not really, even if they were there, we did not know. Yeah, maybe they were to a selected few, but for us, that is something that taught me a lot of faith and how to read the Bible, how to lean on God, how to sing out of sadness. Yes. Yes, because sometimes you are very sad in school when something has happened. Maybe you're beaten, you didn't do it. Yeah. For something you didn't do and you're punished and you can't defend yourself. The nuns are very tough and they beat well. And then your mother is not there. You cannot cry to nobody. Yeah. So I learned all that thing, and then I learned to be very independent. Yes. And I learned to plan my things, to plan my life, to plan my little pocket money that my dad would leave of 100 shillings. Wow. That was a lot. But by then, yes, that will get me the tissue when my tissue is all done, when my soap is, So I learned how to plan my little money. I learned how to plan my items so they are not lost because they would get lost. And if your items are found lost in the all over where the clothes are and everything, you're beaten well because they have the names. So you cannot get away from it. So I learned how to protect my things. Yes, you know, to have order, to organize my life. So by the time I was leaving high school, my mother actually told me, you better go and read in this university you're going and do not come back to this village.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you here.
Oh, wow.
Organize your money, save from year one of campus, and get out with some money at the end of year 4 and get your own house. Little house, your mattress, your stove or jiko, whatever.
Yes.
Your little 2 utensils or 3,
yes,
and start your life. You're not coming back to this house to do what?
Yes.
You cannot come back to Shags,
yes,
to the village. So that's how she built that independence in me and showed me it is not a bad thing. It's not that you're isolated. It's not that you are alone. It is growth. It is a weapon.
And she knew there was no future perhaps by going back.
There was no going back, because now going back home is like probably now you go and start getting hooked up with the boys that maybe didn't go to college or whatever. There are no jobs, you know, back in the village. So the best is go to campus and don't come back. Start your life. So that's how I went to Egerton in Nakuru.
Wow.
And I started my life in Nakuru.
Coincidentally, I came to realize that we were in campus around the same time.
Absolutely.
But you were finishing.
I was finishing.
When I was coming, but we never met.
Yes.
And
but
here
you are a familiar face that I saw maybe passing.
Yeah.
Because when I met you first at the workplace, I thought, I've seen this girl somewhere. But I couldn't place. Then I remembered it was
so people meet in life, and here we are seated.
Imagine.
So we attended the same campus.
Yes, I got on. And so I lived there in Nakuru. After campus, I did 4 years. And of course, back then, we even did more years than we should have because of the strikes. There was a lot of interruptions.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, so I should have finished in 2005, but I finished in 2006 because of the strike.
Yeah.
And I started working. Actually, I started working when I was in campus.
Yeah.
Yes, so, and I lived in Nakuru for many, many years, 17 years.
Yeah. So tell us about your first job. What did it teach you before we move on?
So actually,
now you are in... You finished campus. Yes. What did you do in campus?
I did accounting. Bachelor of Commerce, yes.
And
majored in accounting.
Talk a little bit before you even go to your first job.
Yes.
You said something very interesting. You wish you knew earlier on that you can follow your passion.
Exactly.
But how did you choose accounting? Because that's the journey of so many of us. This is the course, but this is, but it's not a bad thing. You are really good in finance.
Yes.
But also, how did you stumble on accounting?
Choose it.
Yeah.
I actually loved community work because of the church, that church whole dynamic that I grew up in, because I extended it back to my home now in Nyahururu. I used to go to our ACK church there with my friends that we made friends with in Form 3, all the way up to after Form 4, and we were doing so many things with the community in church and everything. Yeah. So I loved social work. I loved community work. And I actually got admitted to Nairobi University.
Wow.
To do community social work. I would have worked, I could imagine myself working with the communities in the ghetto and all that, rural areas and everything. But I couldn't come to Nairobi. I didn't have resources.
Yes.
And there was, I don't know, there was a challenge with where I would live and everything. So now my mother had to quickly think of another solution because my dad tried and I couldn't come.
Yeah.
So now she chose for me accounting. Let me just say, she guided me
into accounting. And so many parent doctors.
Back then it was the norm.
It really was
what our parents thought, but it was the best by then.
Everybody
was an accountant.
Yes.
Most girls were accountants. And by then, when I was home waiting, those years would finish from fourth year, and wait 2 years at home to go to college. We used to wait 2 whole years at home, and I stayed. I stayed home for 2 years before I went to college.
Yes.
So we were giving the government time, I guess, to place us, placements, the Joint Admissions Board. So I stayed home for 2 years, and that time is when now I developed this thing of community. Completely, it was in me. Yes. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to share. I just wanted to serve.
So you've always wanted to do that.
So when I finished 4th year in campus, I went and looked for an internship in Red Cross, Kenya Red Cross. So that's how I started. I still had this. I did accounting, but I went to the Red Cross to look for if I can do accounting in the Red Cross. But I really wanted to just serve the community.
Yes.
Yes. So when I did that, no, that's when the year 205, which I was still in school, I was doing an internship.
Yes.
No payment, no nothing, but I had my little savings.
Yes.
And then in 206 January is when I got employed my first job.
Yeah.
But I had to apply for it.
Yeah.
And I had to look. Those years we used to carry our CVs in an envelope.
Yes.
And walk from one end of town to the other, knocking on offices and saying that I
have done that in this Nairobi.
And I really want to get a job. So now in one of those days when I was working with my now husband, by then he was my boyfriend, if I can use that word, we were just going through looking for where to work. And we worked to the district commissioner's office. It's a government office. And on the notice board, there was an advertisement for a job.
Wow.
And that is how I applied for that job. Immediately, in fact, I just went to the post office, which was nearby, borrowed a full scarf, and borrowed an envelope from those ladies within the counter of the post office, and deposited the letter in the post office. Those days we used to send letters with stamps. And I left, and that's how I got my job. I was employed on 19th January 2006. And that's how I worked that organization for 9 years. And it was a community work.
Wow.
Yes,
for 9 years.
It was a non-government. Okay, by then it was a self-help group. Then it evolved to a community-based organization, and today it is an NGO.
Wow, fantastic. God really does connect.
Yeah, but I evolved into other roles. But that is where I began.
Yes. Before we close this chapter 1, I want us to touch on something, because now you've really told us your story, and I know your mother is very central to this story. And I do know that your mom passed on.
Yes, she did.
And I know you felt you wanted to share a little bit about that grief that sits with us. People have lost loved ones, but when it's a mother, it really does cut deep. Tell us as much that we feel you would like to share. Number 1, how it happened, and then how it has shaped you. Before that, we now go into your calling on the marriage and everything.
So my mother was very instrumental, because remember, as I mentioned, I was an only child for 7 years. So I was very close to her. I grew, and then she got me very young. So she grew with me, I grew with her. Because she was also trying to discover herself when she was raising me.
She really was evolving. A lot of our mothers were evolving as they raised us.
So we were very close. And one thing about me, I believed her word as the gospel truth. Like I argued, of course, maybe in my teens and everything, but she never told me anything that I went against. I always followed everything she said. I don't know, maybe it's God's way of just helping me, because he knew she would leave early. Because I didn't have those things like your mother tells you something you're not doing and now you fall along life. No. So that shows how close we were. Because for example, how she taught me later on in life about about this thing of choosing somebody and everything. But also when I was in campus, when I finished my undergraduate and I started working, my 2006 job, which I used to get little money, it was 30K, but it would be taxed to come to 26K. And when she just asked, how much are you earning? And I told her, and she used to be very dramatic in how she talked. And she told me, that 20K, I want it. You drop it in my account, I'll save it for you. You must do your master's. So I used to live on 6,000.
From the 26?
From the 26. She was very instrumental. And that is how I saved up 20K.
Every month?
Without fail. In fact, she would wait. And when the days passed, she has seen it's date 5 of the following month. She's like, have you not been paid? I'm still waiting. I'm on my way to Posta. She had an account in a bank called Posta. Posta Bank, something like that. And she would go and tell me, please put the money, I'm waiting for it. So she would give me time. I'm walking from home to the Posta. By the time I'm reaching, let me find the money there.
Are you serious?
Every month. In fact, that was one of her KPIs for the month. To make sure.
That is such a visionary mother.
She was very strict in that area. She really wanted us to succeed, all of us. She pushed us. So she was very instrumental to me, and even when when I was getting married, in all the traditional wedding and everything, and I listened to her very well. That's how I did not go back home, because when she told me you need to save, and I only used to get pocket money of, actually I used to get 3,500 to pay the hostel from my dad, to pay the hostel that I used to live in the campus, because we lived outside the campus. And she told me to organize that money, how I will save from that money from year one.
What?
To the end year. At the end of the day, I need money to start off my life. And nobody will be giving me. Yeah, because how she took out a loan that I studied with.
Yes.
She added to my education for the undergraduate.
Yeah.
For the masters I funded, she pushed me to fund it for myself.
Yeah.
So I had to come up with a way to miss some meals. I didn't know how else to, because now I'm in town, it's Nakuru town.
Yes.
I'm from the village, I don't know any better. So I had to organize how to miss some meals. So because lunchtime, we never really used to go back to the hostel to eat. So I gave up lunch. And now I would pay the hostel 2,800 and saved 700.
Wow.
Every month for 4 years. That's how I began my life. And I told her, she was like, yeah, you don't need to eat much. It's okay.
Yeah. And it funded,
in any case, you don't have even a
now.
It funded
this job. When you were in this job, then you start earning. This job also funded thanks to her, the masters.
Yes. So I learned saving and investing, because I saved up. So I learned to live on very little. And I was content, because the Bible says with contentment there is great gain.
Yeah.
At the time, of course, I didn't know that. But now I know, in retrospect, when I look back, I was okay. I never felt that I'm lacking or I'm poor or anything. I was very happy because I knew I had a goal. And later on, when I met my pastor, he would always say, play now and pay later.
Wow.
Or pay now and play later. So to me, now I was paying later to play, because now I was able to study. I was able to start my new life initially. And then I was able to do the masters. And later on, when I gathered the money for the masters and put it aside and did. Now she came back, the salary had gone up. She was like, there's some land that that my sister, she had she has two sisters who are teachers at the time. And teachers have way of getting land very easily through the TSC, through their chamas and everything.
Circles,
Yes. So she told me her sisters have land, I don't know where, 3 different places. She told me, no, we need to buy. You need something at least of your own. That is how she started pushing me now. The little addition that I got to my income, all of it, including the 20, she didn't give me back the 20. So I still lived the normal life. Like I had a lot of money, because I think I was earning now 40,000 or 45. But I lived like I earned 6,000. In fact, one time we had a survey, because I was working in the community organization, and the donor came and we were doing a survey of people in the ground who live below 80. Back then, a dollar was 80 shilling, Kenya shilling. And we were doing a survey of a research of who are living below $1. And we were among the samples and we were employees of the company, because we counted our costs per day and it was below $80. It was below 80 shilling.
With the people you are also supporting.
So we also filled in the question. I said, it's true. We are among, Yeah, but it helped, because it was clear that even you can work and still don't have, because you have so many needs.
Investments.
Exactly. So that's how I even got I was able to buy land when I was very young.
Wow, yeah.
Yes. Before marriage, I had my own.
As a single woman.
As a single girl. And I was very young. I was in my below 30.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you had your...
because I learned how to set aside to gain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Set money aside to gain. So those are some of the things that my mother taught me. She never ever, one other thing, she never ever showed me, like fought my pursuit of church, because we were out most of the time on church issues. She always, she didn't, she didn't feel like you're going too much or not. She never said anything. She didn't buy it for me. So I was able to grow a lot in the church community and to be very committed, which I am now till today. Yes. And it guarded me from so much clubbing and being in the wrong places, because when guys are going out in our hostel, they're going out on Friday. Me, I don't want to go. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't like it. Yeah, maybe I want to go to Kesha. Or not. Or go home to visit her. So because I loved going on Friday so that I can spend time with her on Saturday, come back on Saturday evening because Sunday I'm serving in church.
You're serving in
Yes. So that's why she was very instrumental in my life. So how she transitioned into glory. This was the year 2014, August. And she was traveling from Nyahururu to her village to see her father, who was in Katondo. And so she got an accident along Gilgil Highway, Nakuru-Naivasha Road. So we did not know that she had the accident. Actually, we had just talked. I didn't even know she was traveling at the time, but later I got to know that she was on the road. So I was like, okay, when she gets there, she'll tell us. But she never reached, and we didn't know. So the people whom she was going to visit on the other side are the ones who were calling in the evening. It was a Saturday afternoon. They were hit by a trailer. Their past public service vehicle, here we call them matatus, was hit by a trailer on the road. It was at 4 p.m.
Wow.
Just late afternoon. And so they are the ones who called and said that she did not, has she, or do you know if she stopped in Nairobi or what? So now that's when the alarm was raised. And by then my siblings were all in Nairobi. I was the only one in Nakuru. Of course, my dad was in Nyahururu, where the home is.
Yes.
So I was the one out who was near Gilgil, because from Nakuru to Gilgil is 40 minutes. And we did not know where exactly the accident had taken place. So I had to now think very fast. I didn't even tell my dad, but I had to think very fast. What do we need to do? How do we know where she is? And now this was the whole of Saturday night. We slept with worry, not knowing where she is, dialing her number. Of course, at some point it went off. We dialed and it was picked by somebody. And so on Sunday morning is when now I woke up, and this was now, they had the accident August 23rd. So 24th is when I was now waking up very, very, very early. I didn't even sleep, going to church and setting up what I was supposed to do.
So you still went to church?
I had to, because I didn't prepare anybody to do what I was supposed to do. And I used to serve in a very sensitive area of the church where we serve the pastors directly. It's called hospitality department and protocol. So I had to go and pick somebody else to stand in for me and leave. As I was there, we were talking, I was telling somebody about, I think my mom didn't get. And as he was talking back, explaining to me, why don't you go to the Nissan? Find out which Nissan she used and now go. So I found, this is a way. And as he was speaking, the Holy Spirit also said that to me. Like, you need to go to the stage and find out which vehicle company, because there is Moller Line, there is Pointy, there are so many different companies of the vehicles. So now I called my dad and I asked him, by the way, which vehicle? Just casually, I didn't want to raise alarm, because now I didn't know, he's alone on the other side. So I asked him which vehicle. So he told me the company of the vehicle that she used. And I went to their office and I asked them yesterday, is there any of your... I got utterance from the Holy Spirit, because I did not know what to ask. But I just thought, God, when I'm going, Holy Spirit, show me what to say. So the only words that came was, yesterday, was there any of your vehicles that got into anything? Which route? Then I said, Nyahururu, Nairobi. And they said, yes. There is one that fell, that got an accident along Gilgil. So I asked them, would you know where the people who are in that vehicle have been taken? So they were like, they don't know. Could be there are 3 hospitals along the Nakuru, Gilgil, Naivasha. But they were like, probably it is the hospital in Naivasha. So now I went. I took a public service vehicle.
By yourself now?
By myself. Immediately, because I was in this office and now I moved to this office. And went directly to that office of the other vehicle service and boarded the matatu and left to the hospital. And I went there, and now I met the matron on duty, and I told her, and she later told me that when she saw me coming, she immediately knew who I was looking for. Yes, because of the resemblance. And I look nothing like my mother. My mother was very dark-skinned, extremely dark-skinned. I look more like my dad. But I think she saw the resemblance some way. And so I asked her, I'm looking for a person, ABCD. I was told that there is a vehicle that got an accident yesterday at 4 p.m. is there anything, information you have, or would you know? And she's like, yeah, there's a vehicle that was brought here around 5. The people who are in that vehicle, they are in this hospital, and there's a list. The vehicles normally carry 14.
Yeah.
So there is a list of 14 that she had written down the names as the victims gave the names, those who could.
Yeah.
But around there in the middle, I think number 7 or 6, there was one written, Black African woman, -BID. So I didn't know who was that. And of course, now I was like, okay, I can't see her name here. She's like, yes. So I asked, what about this one? And she's like, this means this person is a Black African woman. BID means brought in dead. So I was like, okay, or maybe there's this thing about grief and shock, because accidents can shock you. Accident is not like a disease.
Yes.
That somebody was sick. When somebody is sick, sometimes you tell yourself, oh, they'll heal. You have a lot of hope.
Yes.
Of course, when they pass on, it's still very painful.
Yeah.
But for accident, it first of all brings you shock. A lot of shock, because you cannot reconcile the reality with your reality that you know within yourself.
Yes.
So now I told her, maybe I didn't realize that it could have been her. I was telling myself, maybe she didn't give her name. Maybe she was hit, she was unconscious, she wasn't able to give her name. So I told her, can we go and look for her? So she was in fact, I always say, may God help me to meet that matron one day, because now I don't remember. I don't know her.
Yeah.
I hope she knows me and one day says that, because she was very patient, very compassionate, very loving, sympathetic, empathetic, everything. She made me go through the motions, because I told her, I want to maybe go to the ward, we look for her. She was like, it's okay. So we went. Thankfully, Sunday morning, there's nothing much going on in our hospital. Yeah. It was the general hospital. It's a very big hospital in Naivasha. So we went to every ward for the women. Yeah. Went through the beds. Yeah. There was of course, my mother was not in the bed.
And all this time, are you in shock or?
Extremely. And I'm hopeful. I'm not like I'm worried.
Yes.
In fact, I know I'll find her and I'll call back and say I found her. And so we went to ward, and then she told me, no, the next ward is the children's ward. And so we went. Because I was telling her, I know my mother is a very loving person. If somebody's child was in that matatu and that person didn't make it, she will sleep with this child for the mother's sake. So, that's all hope. So I went and went through the children. Of course, every mother had their child. There was no child with mama. My mother was not there. And then she was like, so it's only left the men's ward. I'm like, is this hospital full? Maybe there's some, because me, I know in general, my mother worked in a hospital all her life. So I know sometimes the beds fill up, they can move them, but there's no way a hospital can move the women to the men. But it had not clicked yet. And so we went through, we didn't check through the men, we just went through it from one door. The wards are very long. Yeah. And after that, now she was like, so the only place that is left is now the mortuary. And I told her, yeah, let's go and check. It did not even hit me at the time that a mortuary is a place where those who are there are not alive. My first function was to find her. It didn't hit me. Yes, it didn't hit me that where I'm now going, those who are there are not alive. I was like, yeah. Let's go. We need to go and find her. I have to find her. And so we went. Oh my goodness. So when I went, of course, the mortuary is not a good site. There are people who are not alive everywhere, bodies. But she was there on a wooden, a stone surface, like a counter. Yeah. In her clothes. They had not dressed her down. And of course, I know her clothes. I know my mother. Yeah. And I told her, Mom, I'm here. Wake up. I'm so happy I found you. Wake up. Let's go. Can you imagine? And later on in retrospect, when I think about it, I'm like, there's a very thin line between sanity and insanity. Yes. There's a chemical reaction in the body, because I really studied a lot after that. I read a lot on all this death and afterlife, and I needed to understand, because I needed to heal. Yes. And I realized you can go insane and you do not know. Actually, those who are insane do not know that they are insane, because according to them, they are living their life normally. Yes. But according to the rest of us, they are not okay. Wow. Because I was waking her up to leave. We go. I was like, Mom, you have slept so much since yesterday. This is where they asked you to sleep. They didn't get a bed.
Wow.
Can you imagine? I'm talking to her, she's not there. And then I removed, of course, she had used to wear specs.
Yeah.
So I noticed the specs had been broken on one side. So now that's when the nurse told me she's been hit on this side.
Yeah.
She was seated on the side of this side of the driver.
Yeah.
So when the driver saw the truck coming, he swerved to the grass. And these guys were on his line, but at the back of the vehicle, they're the ones who went and hit the truck.
Yeah.
So she had been cut behind her ear, and that's what caused internal hemorrhage. She told me, you see that she cannot wake up. She's been hit and she did not make it. And she's the one that I wrote there, brought in dead. We could not get her name.
So probably all this time, maybe she had a feeling, even as she was taking you through.
Yeah, no, she already knew they received them. She had done the night shift. Yeah. So they're the ones who received them, or rather, when she was entering her shift is when these guys were also being brought in.
So all this time, she just knew you were the one.
She was taking me through the motions. She allowed me to go through the motions, and that's very important for somebody who has lost.
Yeah.
They need to be allowed to process this thing in their own way. To go through the motions, until the end when they realize this person is not there.
Yeah.
Some people realize later, maybe through throwing the soil in the hole or whatever. So now she told me, so we need to go outside because you cannot, because at some point when I realized she's not waking up, I started pulling her up. I started getting very emotional.
Yeah.
Wake up, let's go. And I was not even crying. Yeah. I was like, wake up, I have a strong personality. Yeah. So I was getting upset. You're not waking up, let's go. But anyway, now we left. Thankfully, between the counter where she was and the door is not very far. Yeah. So I was able to walk, but for some reason, I could not feel my legs.
Yeah.
And I did not know that I can't feel them. But I walked and I stood outside there. So now, I went back to the firstborn mode.
Yes.
And I said, I need to call. Nobody knows I am the first person who has found her. So I need to call people. So I started with her sisters, my mom's sisters, because they were also waiting for her on the other side. And I told them I found her, but she's not alive.
Yeah.
It was very difficult to say that.
Yeah.
And especially in mother tongue.
Yeah.
It is very painful. Or rather, not even painful, it's a big challenge to bring out the words, to tell the other person without them losing their mind.
And you're now breaking the news.
Exactly. Yes. So I had to call everybody, even my siblings, so they could come. They're in Nairobi. But now my dad was the last person that I called. Oh. But I called him and told him I have found her. But I did not tell him because he had to drive all the way from Nyahururu to Naivasha.
So you couldn't?
I didn't know how he would drive. So I didn't want to tell him that. So I had to make the call look funny. Yeah. Like somebody is talking to me. Yeah. So I told him, Dad, I found Mom. I found her. You come. I'm in Naivasha District Hospital. Yeah. Yes, you can't miss it. It's on the highway. Just come. And then I said, oh, you're talking to me. I started talking to a fictitious person so that I could cut the call. Yeah. So that he now knows I'm trying to talk to somebody else so that he doesn't probe more.
Yes.
And that's how now they all came. I would welcome them and, we talk. But now when my dad arrived, later in the day, this was very early, it was 7 a.m. So now when he arrived around 10 or 11 is when I told him, Mom is in the mortuary, she didn't make it. Oh. And he was shaking. I could feel his heart was beating because I had to hug him. Yeah. And he was really, really shaking. And I thought he would collapse. So I was so concerned, because now I was like, I've already lost one. I don't want to lose this one as well. Yeah, but now that's when the process of the postmortem began. We had to go to the police station and report. I had to give my statement as the one who found her and everything. Yeah. And then the postmortem was done. And in the evening, late in the evening, 6 p.m. is when we went to Nyahururu. Yeah. And now another thing that happened that was now, you know what happened with me? I missed my bearing. Like, I forgot she was dead. I started now the motions of, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do
organizing.
This. Yes, calling people, welcoming people, this is CDD, we need to go. And so by evening at 6, when we were now putting her in the vehicle, she was being put in the vehicle. When a person is passed on, they cannot sit. Yeah. So they are wrapped in a black body bag and put inside the Nissan, or rather the vehicle, a Nissan type of a vehicle, below the seats, like a luggage. Yeah. So when they did that, I was like, you cannot do that to my mom. I was like, it hit me again, like, because we had to go with that vehicle, others went with the other. So I was like, oh no, you can't put her like that. I was telling myself, I didn't tell them. I was like, why are they doing this? Then another thing told me, you know she's not alive. She cannot sit down. So those are things that trigger, and when it triggers, it's very painful. But you cannot, grief is so bad that you cannot put the pain, it's not tangible.
It's not.
You can't touch it, so you don't know what to do, and it needs to come out. So if you don't know how to let it come out, it finds its way out. It's like water. Like they were talking about the floods that had just happened in Kenya. The water always finds its way out. It finds its way to wherever it's flowing to the river, wherever, to where it will settle, where there's no more outflow. But grief is the same. It finds its way out. Some way, somehow, it will come out. Because the body cannot take it. It's like your spirit cannot take that. And that's why I always say, if I can digress a little on even abuse in relationships, which I'm passionate about. Somebody who is being abused, it's because their subconscious cannot reconcile their reality.
Yes.
Otherwise, their spirit, man, because we have body, soul, and spirit. The body is experiencing the abuse. The soul is the mind. It knows that there is abuse. But the spirit can never accept. The spirit is from God. And God is not a bad God. He's not a fighter. He doesn't hurt us. So the spirit refuses. And that's why there's always that inner voice that is telling you, this is wrong. I'm not supposed to be going through this because the spirit cannot be oppressed. So that is the same. And that's why when the spirit is crushed, somebody cannot live. So that's what happens with grief. Your spirit knows that this has happened.
Something has changed.
Yes, but this thing has to flow out through the body somehow. Because the spirit cannot accept that. Because the spirit knows this person is in heaven or whatever, based on how they live. The spirit already knows, but your soul cannot reconcile it. So the body has to release this thing. So now that's how I realized I'm speaking to myself loudly. Because I was speaking, I thought I told them. But when I asked, I didn't say anything. I didn't tell them, why are you putting because wrapping her, fine. But the way they are pushed, you know, when a body is pushed like that, like a luggage, it is very, when you know it is your mother, you cannot accept it, you know. But I didn't, apparently the voice was so low, but it was all in me. So later I would tell myself, I need to calm down. I need to face this thing. I'll lose my mind. Yes. I one of these days I'll wake up and I do not know what day of the week it is. Yes. I would tell myself that slowly by slowly later on. So that's how it happened. And that's how, of course, we got to terms with it. But the week as a firstborn, again, you're so busy with the visitor, because what happens in Africa here, when we are planning for the burial that week, there is so much activity. There is so much.
And you're expected to be strong. You're the firstborn. You're the one that...
and there are visitors at home. The tents are up. Everybody is coming. We call them maombolezi, mashakaya. You know, that short memorial services during the whole week. You don't hear what the pastor is. You're not even there. You're busy running with the plates because those people need to take tea and maybe bread or whatever. You need to organize for them. You need to know where the jikos are and the makaa. You know, there's too much. So by the time you don't even have time to sit through those. Those services are for the community to come to terms.
Others.
Yes, to come to terms with the loss of this one person. But the family members, really, maybe apart from my dad would sit there because it's now his village. You know, his people who as we are in town, as we live away from home. The rest of us, really, it didn't make sense. It didn't even maybe I wish they took videos, would listen to what we have been told later. But the thing hit me. It didn't hit me the whole week. It hit me in the mortuary on the burial day. A week later. Because of course you are told you have so what happens with grief, you move through the emotions. You're like a robot. You're just being told, walk like this, you walk. No, on the burial day, because you don't know even what's going on. Your mind has not accepted, but somewhere behind your mind, I know that we are burying her, but I do not know how to come to terms with this thing. So you're told, okay, the family members now, we need to see the body, and then they refer to it as a body. Sometimes it also hurts very much because this is not a body,
it's my
according to me. According to reality, it is a body, but according to me, it is not. But anyway, that is another thing that somebody needs to watch out. Accept that thing. Accept that word body. Because they say it and they say it in mother tongue. And it's very painful. Just come to terms within yourself who has lost that this is a body. The person, the spirit is already back to God. It automatically, that thing, because when I looked at her and she was lying on that stone in the mortuary, I could see there's something that is not, because I really took time and I looked at her and I stayed with her.
Yeah.
There's something that was not inside. There's something about her that was missing. Yes. I could tell. I didn't know how to put it in words, but I could tell that thing that makes mom is not there.
It's not there.
That is a spirit. Automatically it leaves.
Yeah.
Yes. So now it hit me on that day of the burial when we were being told. So when I saw her in that coffin, of course we had gone and shopped for the coffin. You know, we did all those things. But it doesn't hit you that she will be there.
Yeah.
So when she was sleeping inside that, of course, there's a glass at the face, so that you're able to see the face. And I felt this rage come out. That's another thing about grief.
Yes.
Before anything else, you get very angry.
Yeah.
First, you get very disappointed. You have a lot of despair. You don't know what to do. Then again, you ask, why did it happen? And you become, for me, I got very angry and I felt like smashing that mirror. That glass. Like I want to smash. I was so beat. I didn't know what to, because again, the whole of that week, me and my siblings would go to the mortuary to see her. Because when we arrived, she was removed from that vehicle and put on another stretcher. For the bodies, they put them on a very low stretcher and pushed in. They're just thrown about. There's just a way they are handled. It's very sad. And so later on, they are the body is embalmed and they are put those chemicals that make the body not rot and not pour out liquids and everything. And then they're put in lockers. So when you go to see that person, the locker is pulled out. That's as per that hospital. I don't know what other hospitals do. And so the locker is pulled out and you see them up to here, half because the rest of the body is within, can't come out all of it. And so we'd go to see her. And my sister was telling me, my sibling, she was telling me, she was believing in God for resurrection. Oh, yes. And I realized, I never said it, but I did too. I knew if Jesus rose on the third day, my mother will rise. Can you imagine? Now that is the lack of acceptance that grief does to somebody. Because I kept knowing she will rise. We will go and pull her and she will open her eyes, and because she was just sleeping like this, very calm, nothing much. So I knew she will rise. So when now the burial day arrived and I cannot, she's still in this box. Like, okay, now she's from the house, now she's in this box. I'm thinking, no, something must change. Something must give. And then, being a firstborn, I used to sobbing. Everything.
So even this you want to solve.
Yeah, I'm thinking, this cannot defeat me. I'm used to having a solution to everything. And when there is none, I look for another one who can help me get what I did. So anyway, that left me, that moment. And I was helped out. Of course, I couldn't walk. I don't know. For some reason, grief enters in your body. And there's some feet don't move, brain is nowhere. I don't know. It's just strange, but we have to allow it to happen that way. If you feel like you're not walking and you push yourself to walk, you stopped it from flowing. Allow the legs to give. Go on the ground, fall if you're falling, It helps to come to terms one day at a time. So of course we laid her to rest, but now at the time of throwing the soil into the grave, I blacked out. Now is when I think it came out. And I couldn't accept it. I could not, because I had not dealt with it. The whole week, I was too busy. And I'm usually too busy. Those who know me say I don't rest, I don't sit down. I like to just work and be there. So I just blacked out, and I blacked out. I don't know. I don't know what happened after that. Until later when I woke up, and of course she had been buried and people are taking photos at the grave and everything.
And I'm wondering now, as we end this episode, there are so many people dealing with that kind of grief. And you've said it's very personal. It's
different.
It's different
for everyone, yes.
Maybe as we end, because now I want us to, in part 2, to get to the journey, your calling.
Exactly.
How you have really moved on, and you are living now beyond what your mom would had even imagined.
Absolutely.
But what would you encourage someone who's living with that grief? You don't have, we don't have all the answers.
We don't know.
But because you've experienced it, what would you tell,
Yeah.
especially firstborn daughters, or even just a woman who is in her
Yeah.
40s? We have aging parents. Death is a certainty. We don't know. None of us knows.
Yeah.
What are your wise words and what have you learned as we end the episode?
Yeah, so first of all, when this thing comes, it's a shock. And the body enters into, I think, survival mode, because the body does not know the mind and the heart. And the heart actually pains for real. Like
Yeah.
the way you pinch yourself and feel pain,
Yeah.
the heart pains that way. It's an organ. People
Yeah.
don't think like the heart is an organ. It
Yeah.
actually even cracks
Yeah.
when it's extremely pained.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets tremors on it, right? So what I can tell somebody is, and first of all, as a firstborn, one thing that helped me was the boarding life. God doesn't have any wasted experiences.
Yeah.
And all things work together for
good.
to those that love the Lord. Because that life that I learned to be very independent helped me so much during this time of grief. One, because on the day we buried my mother, which was on a Friday, when we left the village and came back into town to continue with our lives, because even the workplaces don't give you time. You go back. It depends on where you're working though. On that Monday for work, from Friday the burial, my husband was transferred from where we used to live, and he was transferred to a very far county, Malindi, and we were in Nakuru.
Wow.
Yes. So he left that Monday because he had to report to work on Tuesday. They gave him that day to travel. And it is hundreds of kilometers away. So I was left alone with a little baby. I had a 2-year-old. And I didn't have anybody to talk to about anything, because my siblings would call me to cry. It was so painful.
Yeah.
And they are used to me, and then they come to.
Yeah.
So they would call me and tell me how they are feeling. So this thing of being very independent really came in, because I was able to step in, work through. I would cry at my own. I totally had nobody to talk to for so long. But for some reason, I think because of faith, the faith I have in God, and then I have this thing, people would joke with me and tell me I'm a bookworm, I like to read. And one day in our life, our pastor, our bishop had told us, whatever you don't know, please read about it, get knowledge about it. Google is your friend. And I took that very seriously. So I would study a lot about death, that period. Of course, I had a nanny, so I would just let the baby stay with the nanny. That baby stayed with the nanny a lot of time. I would read a lot about, I wanted to understand death, afterlife, how the body, I even learned how the body decomposes, at what time the nails fall off, at what time, I don't know, the skull does what.
So that was your way of
That was my way. So why am I saying this? When you have a loss, you need to find your way. How do you deal with it personally? Because everybody does it differently. But the best is try not to do the destructive things, because it's very easy to fall into something that now will also destroy your body. This body has gone through a very shocking experience. It is trying to reconcile. Your brain is trying to reconcile with your heart. And the two, they need to coordinate the rest of the body. They need to coordinate the hands, they need to coordinate the eyes, they need to coordinate the legs.
Yes.
And now they are shocked. You need to help your organs to go through this thing. And how do you do it? By trying to look for a healthy way. There's nothing other, at least one that will not destroy you, like alcohol, like drugs, like sex, like wrong relationships. There are some destructive things that people do, which are quick fixes. They give you quick gratification, but you go back worse
than you came
than you were. So somebody has to look at what do I feel like doing now that is not going to destroy me. Me, I would feel I want to listen to worship. I want to listen to people who are talking about near-death experiences, or those who died and came back. I want to hear about preachers who are talking about death. I want to read about death. That's what I wanted. I wanted to understand this thing that had happened. Yes. So I would advise somebody, look at yourself. Then that's why we need to learn ourselves. If you do not know yourself, if you have not learned who you are, you don't know your identity, you're not able to even know how you need to deal with challenging situations when they come. Because you've not listened to yourself. You don't know yourself.
Yes.
Yes. So that's what I would advise somebody. At least do that which you know you feel like doing at this particular moment. Because today you feel like this, tomorrow this, tomorrow this, tomorrow this. And also talk. Because when I was talking to my siblings a lot, I talked to them every day. They would call. And I would talk to them a lot. It helped me
Also
remove
process,
this thing.
yes.
Because now as I'm telling them encouragement, it's some way somehow also encouraging me that I'm not aware. But it is working within to remove this pain and this darkness that is also in me.
Wow.
Yes. So that talking, you need somebody, if you can get somebody who is close to you, because sometimes when it's a spouse, you can wear them out. And I'm really glad. At the time, I was very bitter my husband left. But I thank God that he left at that time to work in that different town, because now I didn't have to wear him out with this thing. Because he does not know how it is to lose a mother. He doesn't, or a parent. At the time, he had not lost. So he doesn't know. So he will be trying his best, but I will wear him out. Yeah, because it's not his. He cannot carry it. And I cannot get my happiness from him or my pain removed from him. Yeah, because this is personal. The body that is feeling this pain is mine. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So that is what I can say.
Wow. This is part 1.
Yeah.
There's more coming with Sarah. I know that these episodes are going to change someone's life, that our experiences are universal. Someone has felt grief like you.
Yeah.
And now I want us to get into your ministry, into marriage, where you're so passionate. And yes, please like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in part 2. You don't want to miss. Tell a sister, a friend, your mom, your niece. You need to get on the woman experience, because we are hearing firsthand how women are experiencing life, have experienced it, and have something to share with you. Until next time, see you in part 2. Bye-bye.